Every GM has left a session thinking, why did I do that? I'm the worst game master ever. But most of those GMs don't have to worry about their games being broadcast to the world. Hello everyone, my name is Justin, and I am the Star Lord for the Tableverse, a Starfinder actual play podcast. Our show's been running for almost 2 years now. If you want to check it out, the link is below. Today I want to talk about what I consider to be some of the biggest blunders that I've made in my actual play career, and I'm hoping that by sharing some of these stories, some of you out there could benefit and maybe avoid some of these missteps. Here we go. Mistake number 1, I was not clear on the type of game that I run. A couple of times now on the show, it's come up that the players feel like there's too much going on, that they've got too many things on their to-do list.
I think Leela is really scared for Kobach and has the pressing needs to heal Kriana, rescue Kobach, avenge Quib, and check on Paul, all battling for prime concern in her head right now.
Do you go straight to Draka Keep is my question.
I would like to do 2 more side quests before we do, personally. I'm entirely kidding.
Oh. I failed to communicate in the beginning that this is the type of game that I run. In my game, there will always be a lot going on. It's by design. I do my best to make sure that every NPC that they run into has some sort of storyline going on that the players could potentially get involved in, or not. It's up to the players to decide what they're going to focus their attention on. The screaming that you hear in your mind, you hear in your ears because he's like, oh, I'm a sham, I'm ruined. Star Shooter's pew-pew is not what it used to be.
So he's just sad. He's not like in danger.
No.
Oh, okay.
He's distraught.
His business is going under.
And as soon as she finishes saying that, you hear the voice of an old woman. You have to do something. Why isn't anyone doing anything for my poor Luca?
I got 10 credits, says that little Luca is something we don't care about.
There will always be tons of stuff happening in my games because I try to run them like the real world and not like a video game. Just because the players are focused on this one task right now doesn't mean that the rest of the universe is going to pause and wait for them. And my friend Brandon Leon Gambetta and his co-host James, they actually have a great episode of their podcast talking about this same subject.
You essentially divide a circle into 12ths, and you decide when important things happen. And an event or a change will happen in the environment at those times.
So this is a mechanic that I believe came out of Apocalypse World.
Yeah.
And that it is explicitly, I think, a reference to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists' Doomsday Clock.
And I'll put the link for that episode in the description. Mistake number 2, giving the players information that I'm not ready for them to follow up on. Early on in the show, the players are in the Full Metal Tap Room, clang clang, and they find a mysterious green orb. Quinn, as any good player would do, rolls to investigate the magical object, and I brilliantly give him this nugget. You know that at Hexton University, they have a book. You've seen this in that book. They can tell you exactly what this thing is. To which Quinn replies,
I believe that I saw something about this at Hexton in the Grand Library. We should go.
You think we should go there instead
We have
of
to go.
getting it? All right. Huh?
We have to understand what this can do before we can hand it over.
I'm with you. We'll go.
You tell the rabble.
We'll set the course.
which is a reasonable course of action for the players. If there's information about this orb at Hexton, we should go to Hexton. The mistake is that I didn't intend for them to visit Hexton University until several levels later. But now I had tied Hexton to information that the players want very badly. And they have a starship. There's no reason why they can't just go to Hexton. And as I explained in mistake number 1, I leave it up to the players to choose what they're going to put their attention on. So I just followed their lead. Luckily, I had enough time before the next session to flesh out Hexton a little bit more. And it presented the perfect opportunity for our first guest star.
Kobach, ever since we competed in class and tried to always out-magic each other, I have always loved you. And if this goes wrong, I just want you to remember that I would have died trying to help you, and to truly remember me as a great mystic.
I don't know what to say.
A lot of good things did come out of this mistake. Hexton University is one of the most popular portions of our show. So I don't regret where the mistake took us, but it is something that I try to be very mindful of now. One thing I made sure not to do with Hexton was to lower the difficulty of the setting. The players knew that they were headed to one of the most prestigious magical schools in the galaxy, so you expect there to be a lot of high-level wizards in this area. If I had nerfed that part of the experience for them, they definitely would have felt it. Mistake number 3, choppy descriptions. Sometimes I'll give the players too much information on where they are or who they're talking to. It's information that's honestly superfluous. It doesn't help the players to better understand what they're doing or where they're going. It's just like some kind of word vomit that just comes out of my mouth. Ultimately, that's fine because if the word vomit doesn't fit the narrative that I'm trying to deliver to the audience, I can just cut the extra words. But even the best editing can't save me sometimes when it comes to my choppy descriptions. Choppy descriptions happen when I'm giving details about a new scene or a new NPC to the players, but I'll do it like 3 words at a time. So you're able to make most of the way, about 70 yards, just by ducking behind all of these parked spacecraft. The issue comes when you get to the last 30 yards. The last 30 yards between the last parked hovercraft and the edge of Draka Keep is open. There's nothing there but dirt. So you'll be in plain view of these guards. This is my biggest pet peeve about listening to myself, and I've been trying to improve on it for a while now. And with editing, you can get rid of a lot of the dead air in between the words, and hopefully no one will even notice the pauses. And if you have listened to our show and you're thinking, I've never noticed any weird pauses in Justin's descriptions, obviously, you're lying to make me feel better about myself. And I appreciate that. But why do I give these piecemeal descriptions? I honestly think that I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'm going to say the wrong thing, that it's going to give away what the encounter is to the players or take away from the mystery of the setting, like in their minds or something. Now that I think about it, it's kind of silly because none of my players are dumb. They've usually figured out the encounter before we get to the end, which is fine. Your players should feel smart. And that's one of the big reasons why I play homebrew instead of doing adventure paths, because I'm at a deep level, I'm afraid that I'm going to screw up the world of this adventure path that these brilliant writers made. But if I do a homebrew, there's nothing I can screw up because I made everything up. One thing I've been doing to help me improve in this area is to write down more of my descriptions beforehand. And this has really helped me to nail down the description, but also to practice it before I ever sit down in front of the players. So hopefully it doesn't come out so choppy. I wrote down a lot of my thoughts for this video because I want to make sure that I'm getting my ideas across in a very clear and concise manner and that I don't forget anything. The other thing that I really need to embrace in the future is the format of our show. A huge advantage of a pre-recorded show is that we can take a moment, we can pause and really consider what we're going to say next because the only people that we're holding up are the people at the table. If you're doing a live stream, they're seeing everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the dead air, the flipping through the book to look for the rules. That's not me. I don't think I could thrive in that environment. I think when I'm sitting at the table and I've got the mic in my face and the players are staring at me, the adrenaline kind of starts to get to me and I feel like I always have to be talking. But in a pre-recorded show, that's not the case at all. If I need to, I can take a few seconds, breathe, collect my thoughts, and then when I'm ready and I know exactly what I'm going to say, I can speak more confidently and hopefully more clearly. If you've made any of these mistakes at your table or on your actual play podcast, I would love to talk with you about it in the comments. If you want to hear me make these mistakes and more, check out the show link in the description. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications. And on your way out, hit that like button. That would help us to reach more awesome people such as yourself. Until next time, remember, it is not in the stars to hold our destiny. It is in ourselves.